Boom, guys, let's talk about what not to do. When you're marketing to pre-foreclosures, you will realize that when you talk to these sellers in some of these deals, like today, Andrew, one of the students who actually has his first fix and flip right now going, by the time I'm making this video, he's in the middle of it. He's doing it right now, actually partnering up with me, hands-on, his first fix and flip with absolutely zero money out of pocket, no credit. We got this, you already know, pre-foreclosures, and we locked it up creative finance. Now, he called me today about another lead. Here's the issue with this lead, like you're gonna see with every single pre-foreclosure seller that you deal with, is that number one, everything they tell you, you better take it with a grain of salt, because they will make up stories, they will lie, they will try to go behind your back. Soon as you take away the problem, they will try to back out. So you ought to be really careful. This is why you need to learn and consistently practice how to talk to the sellers, how to have a very, on top of the written agreement, a very strong verbal agreement. Actually, today I got 2 calls like that about the same issue from Andrew and then from John Lim, both going through the same situation. Andrew has been talking to a seller for a while. This is the son. So this is the son door knocking. Actually, the property is not even far from my primary here. And this seller, the son, lives in the property. He trashed the property. The dad already moved out of the property, and the dad is the owner. So the dad doesn't know really what's going on with the property. He thinks his property is worth $270,000. The son is finding every excuse he can to not let Andrew talk to the dad. So they've been going back and forth. It's been over a month. Andrew kept postponing the auction, and every single time this guy just goes ghosts, right? He goes ghosts. First, Andrew sent the contract. He never signed it. He said he was going to sign it. Then his real estate agent called out of the blue and said, hey, we'll come back to you, blah, blah, blah. All excuses. He's just trying to see if he can sell it outright and get more than what Andrew can do. That's all he's trying to do. And now he comes back to Andrew because he couldn't find a solution. And now there's another auction that is scheduled. He calls Andrew and says, hey, can you pay the $10,000 that I owe before the closing or before the auction date? And then I'll sign the contract and then we can work out a deal and blah, 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 blah. So Andrew calls me and asks me, guys, I've made this mistake. I had a property in Texas. The seller is behind $9,000 on the HOA. I just thought, oh, just $9,000. Looked up the property really quick. Property is worth a little bit over $600,000 at the time because the market was good. Forgetting, my dumb ass, my fault, 100% my fault. Forgetting that this is real estate. Anything can change. And guess what? Things did change. I paid the $9,000, ended up finding out that this seller actually forged his ex-wife's signature. He kept referring to her as his wife. It was not his wife, it's his ex-wife. She didn't know what was going on. This is a whole other story for another day. So I had to track her down, bring her back to the table, get cussed out, still reason with her for her to agree to get his knucklehead to move forward with the deal after we stopped the auction, because I was on the phone with the HOA. We wired the funds in 5 minutes before the auction. Actually, no, 5 minutes after the auction. So we reversed the auction. Then guess what we ended up finding out when we opened up escrow? We ended up finding out there is a bunch of liens that kills the deal. Not only that, in the middle of the transaction, the real estate market completely shifted. Interest rates went from freaking 3% to 7-8%. So now all of a sudden, the house that was worth $600,000 and some change is down to maybe 430, maybe 450, maybe 500, but definitely actually below 500. It's just the market. It's just reality. This happens. Nothing wrong with it. This is reality. This is real estate. Things can shift overnight. You cannot predict the future. So you have to be careful. So my mistake, I wired in $9,000, which by the way, I still haven't gotten back, still stuck with this deal. Up to today that I'm making this video, we're still negotiating with the bank. We're trying to take this property short sale. The challenge with this property is that it's a turnkey, brand new property. There's so many challenges. Plus, the bank negotiator that we were using on this property is definitely not efficient. Then she also got sick. She got diagnosed with a cancer. That's a whole other story. But anyway, my point is, guys, just because you have the money doesn't mean go ahead and pay the lien on the property that you don't know if there is something else going on. You haven't pulled title yet to see if there is anything else, any other liens, which typically there are. Any other lien outside of the lien that the seller told you about. So in this case, I told Andrew, listen, the issue is not going and negotiating the seller down because now he's desperate. That's fine. We can do that. We can get the seller from $270 to $240. That's fine. We can pay the $10,000. That's fine. Not a problem. Here is the problem. The problem is the seller. The seller, number one, has been showing you who they are. If somebody shows you who they are, believe them. The seller showed you that he's super inconsistent, like most sellers, which is fine. He's been lying to you. He's been going behind your back. He's never signed a contract. You don't know what's going on with title. You don't know if this guy even have legal paperwork that is legit that will allow him to sell this property without his dad being present. We still have to have all those documents, have them verified by an attorney. We still have to pull title, make sure there's no other liens outside of the $10,000 that the seller is talking about. You cannot trust what they say. You have to verify. So instead, I suggested to Andrew that it's better to take $500, postpone the auction by filing Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is better, losing $500 or losing $10,000. Take your pick. So I'd rather pay $5,000 all day long, postpone the auction. If you postpone the auction with the bankruptcy, mind you, you cannot close without discharging it anyway. It's just a temporary bankruptcy. It's going to get discharged before close of escrow. But now it gives you a breathing room, gives you time to pull title, right? Title companies take time to pull title. They take time to find everything out, right? You don't want to expedite these things because they might miss something. There's always some other liens, water liens, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, not getting into that. My point is, once you postpone it with the bankruptcy, this is the last resort anyway, right? Now you have time to do the title search. Now you have time to have a clear picture of what's going on with everything. Now you have time to lock this seller up under contract before you even spend the $500. Then you have time to file a memorandum on the property and cloud title in case they also decide to go behind your back, because they will. 99.9% of the time, you have to try to prevent it. Now you have the time to sit down with them and have a hard conversation, very upfront, verbal contract upfront, to let them know that, hey, I literally gave Andrew a script. Hey, just so you know, I don't mind paying the $10,000. The only problem is right now I'm blindsided. So I need to make sure there's nothing else that both you and I don't know. I'm not saying there's something else. I'm just saying both you and I don't know. We have to do the title search. If you're, just put yourself in my shoes. If you were me, you spend $10,000 on the property that you don't own. You don't know if there's anything else going on that maybe even the owner is not aware of, which is fine. Now you're out $10,000. It's not their fault. You can't really get it back. House ended up getting foreclosed on. Now you're out $10,000. It wouldn't be a responsible decision to do as a business owner. Would you agree? Okay. But what I can do is this. I can pay for the bankruptcy. We can postpone it. Give us time, both of us, to sit down. But yes, I will need you to sign a contract up front before I even spend that $500, because we have to spend time and energy. One, I have to use my transaction coordinator to get this done. She gets paid, she or he, right? Mind you, if you don't have it, we have it. So leverage it. It's the script, right? So the transaction coordinator have to do the work. We have to do some legwork. If the seller is not local, they have to give you a power of attorney so you can go to the county and file it for them. If they're local, you have to go with them at the county to make sure they show up to actually file the bankruptcy. There's work involved, right? So all of these things. So you don't want to just go, oh, I have $9,000. Don't make the mistake I made. I already made the mistake for you. Why make it? There's certain mistakes, guys, that are completely dumb to make because somebody already made them for you. They told you to avoid it. If you make it, you're dumb. You're dumb and arrogant. I'm sorry. And I'm not sorry for you if you lose money after you listen to this video. You understand? Do not pay off seller's liens before close of escrow unless you have all your ducks on the road. This is very specific scenario cases where you do this stuff where it absolutely makes sense. You're absolutely certain they have too much equity. You're absolutely certain that the seller is not going to try to back out from you. You're absolutely certain that they're already lined up the next chapter of their lives if they're owner occupied, meaning they already have somewhere to relocate to move to. They already have a property, whether they're renting or buying or they're moving with family. You already know all those things. You already know all the parties involved. There is not somebody hidden somewhere in the bushes waiting for you to just stop the auction and then go, oh, by the way, my dad is also involved in this transaction, or my mother or my grandma or my granny. And now they don't want to sell because they want $50,000. Poor me, I really would take the 10,000, but you know, my granny really want the 50. They're lying. They already knew all of that. They just never told you. Just never told you. You understand? So what not to do? What not to do? Don't pay the liens before you have all your ducks on the road, before you have a full picture of what's going on with the property, your exit strategy, have everything lined up. It's better to spend $500, postpone it with a temporary bankruptcy that will get discharged at close of escrow, give you time to do your due diligence, give you time to also even pick exit strategy, which is really important. Give the seller time to find a new place to go. All right, guys? So don't make this mistake. Again, stay bold, be bold. Boom, 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 boom.